Yes. Okay, so the absolute value, so I'm going to put, when I evaluate this 23, it's a positive 23, but now I apply the negative, and it's what kind of 23? It's a negative 23, so our opposite would be 23, positive 23. And in fact, I think on this whole thing, there were only 2 negatives. So this one, now this is not absolute value. Negative of a negative, or negative times negative, is a positive 15, so its opposite is negative 15. In fact, there's our one negative. Then this is a positive. Oh, write the integer for each x. So this one is not the opposite. This is what does that represent? That's a positive. What does this represent? Just a regular 0. 0 is not positive or negative. This one is going to be a what? Positive 8. This one's going to be a positive 5. This one's going to be negative 3. This one's going to be negative times negative is a positive. Very good. And then on this one, you're supposed to indicate the letter where all of these are. I think you could do these. I have a feeling you could do these. Positive numbers, negative. Can you handle that? Like the negative 1 is on this side, and it corresponds to what letter? The H. So all of these are going to be the letters. They're all right in here. Name the integer where each letter is. So then you're going to have the actual integers. That's simple. So let's move on. Okay. So on this one, what's that?
What's the scale to again?
I'm sorry, what's your question? I don't understand your question. Okay, so on this one.
What is the scale for the back for the page?
What's the scale?
What's the scale? Like, is it like negative 1?
I'm not quite sure what you're saying.
Like what's it to? Like is it like negative 7? It's like 7 or like negative 5?
Find the letter. Where's negative 6 on that scale?
What letter? Like negative 6, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. The letter what? What? Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6. It would be the C. Just put the letters. That's really easy. Okay. Then on this side, this is the same thing. Name the number that corresponds to the letters that they give you. Mixed up answers are here, light, but they're there, so you can do that. On this one, it says use graph paper. No, you're going to simplify, then list these from least to greatest. So these are easy. Can you list and I don't have mixed up answers for these. But in fact, I did it right here. All right, so on this one, I'd simplify it first. So this is going to be a positive 3. I'll make it a little bit darker. This one is going to be what? What kind of 4? Because it's positive, but then there's a negative in front of it, so you might want to make that darker. Then this one was a positive, but a negative in front of it. Once you simplify it, then you're going to put them from least to greatest. So which is the least one? The least one is the furthest away from the 0.
Negative 4.
Negative 4. That's the least. The next one is the negative 2. And then the positives, positive 3. Yes, sir.
So when it's absolute value, and we just did it too, you did the absolute value. If there was a negative, but then a negative on the outside, that would be a positive.
But this one here, it's a positive, but because of the negative on the outside, it stays negative.
I'm talking about the 2.
So look at this carefully. A negative absolute value, good question, becomes a positive. Do you agree with that? That becomes a positive, but because there's a negative on the outside, it stays a negative. Okay. Then on this one, absolute value of negative 1 is what? Positive 1, so make that a little bit darker. Now here's another one, Christian, is the absolute value of negative 1 is what?
1.
A positive 1, but then there's a negative on the outside, so it becomes a negative 1. And then this one is just the negative 3 and positive 3. So what's the smallest one here? So negative 3. The next one is the negative 1. Then you hit 0, which we don't have it here, but then you'd hit the 1 and 3. So that's what you need to do on these. Does that make sense? You're putting them from least to greatest after you've simplified them. And then this is pretty easy. You're just putting, there's 8 problems here. You're describing what is being said. For example, in a game, the card for positive 7 means go ahead 7 steps. What would the card for negative 7 mean? Go back. So it would be back 7. This one here, place your pencil at 0 on the horizontal line. It's right here. Where will your pencil end if you move 7 to the right? I'm sorry, 6 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 6 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where will you end up? 0. So that's 0. So these are real simple. So answer those. You don't have to do that. 52. And these mixed up answers. There's the answer bank for these. These are simple. This one? These? I have no answer bank for those. You're putting those from least to greatest once you've simplified them like we just did here. Okay? So then, here's the biggest thing that you have to do. So this is going to be easy today. Just a little refresher on positive, negative integers. No, sweetie, I crossed that one off. You can if you want to, but I wouldn't. Okay. These are really simple. Then, okay, girls and boys. Yes, ma'am. You don't need to though. For example, this is all it's asking you. In football, a holding penalty caused the offending team to lose 10 yards. Express that number as an integer. What would you do? Is that a positive 10 or a negative 10? That's it. That's all you do. He graphed a number 3 units. So sometimes you might want to look at this. 3 units to the right of this number. So what do you have to do? You have to figure out what this number is. What number is this? It's a -3. So he's at -3 right now, and then he went 3. So he's at negative. We'll go look. Just look at a number line here. So if he's at -3, and then he goes 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3. Where does he end up? 0. Sean, stop. Okay. So then he goes 3 to the right, so that ends up being 0. Okay. Boys and girls, we need to stop the talking. So here is the last thing. Fred, you'll just have to hold it for a second. Here's the last thing that you're going to end up doing. This is basically expressing what integer these would be. 3 units to the left would be a what? 3. 1. Yeah, to the left of 0. 1, 2, 3. It'd be -3. So you're just saying opposite of an 8. So these are simple. Then, what does it say to do? Oh, okay. It says write an integer for each of the exercises. Find the point on the number line that corresponds to that integer. Write the letter of the exercise above, and it should say something. So on this one, above that -3, we would put the letter E. Opposite of 8 would be a what kind of, what? A -8. So we're going to put an S on the -8. -6, -7, -8. That's going to be S, and so on. 35. Okay. Then, these, I think, should be pretty easy. We covered some of these already. The only ones we haven't covered is this one. So the letter U. What am I going to put? I'm sorry. The letter U. What is that letter N worth?
1.
16. So you have to rewrite this. I've got a negative, and instead of the N, put a parentheses, and then put the 16. So my final answer would be what?
-16.
-16. Okay, so that negative 16 is going to get the letter U. All right. And then, so you have to be very careful down here.
What is that?
Okay, if n is equal to 16, say what that value is.
So negative.
So
Oh.
negative n, but they're telling you 16, that n is equal to 16. So it's negative parentheses, and then change that n to a 16. And then solve the final thing. So a negative 16 is a negative 16. And just be careful on this one. You have to write your parentheses. Negative parentheses. But what is that n equal to? What do they tell you? It's a negative 16. So what does that one become? Positive 16.
I have a question.
Okay, then,
I have one question.
yes.
On number, well, not number, on letter like N on the left, it says a deposit of 20, like you're.
A deposit, you're putting something into your account. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Good, so it's positive 20.
But you're putting, like, you're not having the money in.
Okay, you're overthinking this. You're putting $20 in your bank account, that's a good thing. Okay, thank you.
If you withdraw.
Yeah, so a withdraw is taking out, which is not as good. So that would be a negative. And then this is easier. Just you're going to circle which one is greater. And those letters, again, you're going to find up here. That's easy. But now let's look at this one because I think I did this one years ago. The table below gives the starting point, direction, and the length of the arrows drawn on the number line. Complete the table by writing the end point of each arrow. So you're starting where? 0. And the direction is negative. Is that to the right or to the left? That means you're going to go to the left. How many places?
4.
Where would you end up? You'd end up at the negative 4. So that would be a negative 4. And I'm going to put the letter M. Okay. All right. Then we'll do another one. I'm starting at the negative 2. And this time I'm going positive 9 units. Which direction am I going? Left or right? To the right. So if you want to use your number line, here's negative 2. And then I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is what?
7.
It's going to be 7. So that is going to be 7. And I'm going to put the letter Y. Do you kind of understand how that works?
Yeah. Right.
Can you handle that, people?
Do we
Okay.
need to use the number line for it?
You may. Of course you
I
can.
have a clue, but do we have to?
No, you don't. Because, in fact, you could do it like here. You could just put plus 9. And if you know your integers, they're not the same sign. I do not sum. Take the difference, and it would be 7. And there's more positives. All right, so you don't need to use a number line. I'm glad you brought that up. Which one?
For right below the negative sign, would that be positive?
No, because look at, you're at negative 2. But then you're going more negative 9 units. So it was like 2 degrees below 0. And then it went 9 degrees colder. So I'm at negative 2, but then I'm going negative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Should be at negative 11. In fact, I'm going to write it how I would write it if I didn't have a number line. It's going to be negative 2 and then negative 9. So I'm going to put a comma, same sign, sum, which is 11, and there's more of what sign? There's more negatives. It's negative 11.
But if the 9 was in parentheses,
No, you're overthinking. Just, okay, overthinking,
it
people.
was.
No, I'm not going to imagine. Just do these particular problems. We could spend all day, if it was this, if it was that, if it was that. No, let's just focus on these right now. Okay, girls and boys, so you guys are going to do the whole packet. Should be easy.
It's easy. I'm already on the second page.
They're easy peasy.
I'm just writing the letters here.
Actually, this is pretty easy.